Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge. Manchester United 3, Southampton 1. It was an absolute classic, and if this team doesn't win the league next season, I'll be stunned. The flowing football, the intensity. It's a shame that the league, we've started playing like this now because we're just going to run out of time. Probably the best team in Europe at the moment, and that was typified by that performance. No, of course not. There is a reality bite, but there's also one man we need to thank. Amad's hat-trick. We're not worthy. The amazing... Look, I think there's a few things to take out of this. Player ratings, mark players. Some of them are going to get stinkers. Some of them are going to get big scores. Some people definitely need to start on Sunday. Xerxes needs to start up front, 100%. And there's a few other players as well. I thought Collier did well when he came on. I was baffled by taking Agate off. I'd love to know why, but Collier did do well, to be fair. But look, I think the big lesson here is, and I'm scratching around for positivity because my biggest negative is that Sir Jim Ratcliffe clearly hasn't got a clue about Man United. This lifelong Man United bollocks just isn't true. I'm half his age, and he doesn't know what I know. He doesn't know what you know. Some of the stuff he's clueless. So he's sat in the game there, and I can just imagine him walking out going, I actually think putting the prices up by a little bit's too cheap. Very entertaining stuff. At the end of the day, I think we should put the prices up to £100 because that's entertainment. And we don't need transfers. We've just won 3-1 against one of the best teams in the league. So that's what worries me a little bit. But Blair says they turned it off after 80th minute. Mate, there's no guilt in saying we were shit. And there is no credibility in saying we played well. We were absolutely dreadful. There is no doubt. This reminds me of Brentford last season, a very similar situation. There are some people in the live chat, like me, who are very happy and very excited because Man United have won a game, and that fundamentally at the core has to be the thing. And there's a lot of people saying, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. We didn't deserve it. You got rescued by one player like we did with McTominay, and it's embarrassing. And I think that, there are valid points in that. All I will say is, to the negative people, you will have your time. We will get battered 2 or 3 more times this season. Absolutely nailed on. That might even be, being optimistic. We will get battered a few more times this year. We're not very good. We're not. Anana was man of the match in the first half. They should have been 3-0 up and out of sight. Let me just repeat. Southampton should have been 3-0 up at half-time and out of sight. And they are the worst team in the league. They've never won away from home. They are absolute shit, and they should have been 3-0 up at half-time. So we can't sweep that under the carpet. It's a fact. That's our first win at Old Trafford in the Premier League since December the 1st. So, look, these are all facts. And Amad, for me, had his worst game in a Manchester United shirt until the 80th minute. I thought he was dreadful. And he was not the only one, and he wasn't the worst. But I thought every single outfield player until the 80th minute that started the game was shit. I'm not going to say that about the subs, but I am going to say that about the people that started. But that Amadness in the last 10 minutes, you can't sweep that under the carpet either. Marcus Rashford's never scored a Premier League hat-trick, I don't think. He's just scored a Premier League hat-trick, and it's only Southampton. Yeah, it's only Southampton that should have beat us. So I think the word I would use, and I love this, because if you're looking for sprouts of positivity, we do have some young players. And I know Garnacho's in the news at the moment, and we'll talk about him in the player ratings, but I actually thought Garnacho's second half wasn't bad. He should have had another assist for Anthony. He had that shot at the end. I don't think he was good, but I don't think he was bad. But what I'm saying is, Lenny Yoro was awful. I've not seen a player get destroyed by that, like that, in a long time. Mainu got subbed at half-time. But these players, Yoro, Mainu, Amad, hopefully Garnacho will stay. They're only going to get better. They're not the players we should be critical of. We can build something with them because they're young. And what I like about that performance is, especially Amad, is that, and you have to be, we have to do everything we can to build this team. Because if we give up, we know they will give up. when you look at Ahmad, I think there is a credibility and a truth to say that up until his goal, he was bloody atrocious. And the reason I'd be saying it in the dressing room. If I was Amrim, I would say, you were rubbish, 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 and Ahmad was rubbish. The difference is, you got subbed, you didn't play well, you didn't play well. He was as bad as you, but he didn't stop. He kept going and going and going, and he turned a bad performance into a man of the match performance and a Premier League hat-trick. And that is what we're building around. Too many of you players have a bad touch, a bad shot, a bad pass, and your whole game falls apart. Ahmad was doing that. Crap crosses, crap shots, running into blind alleys, goal kicks, etc. He scored a Premier League hat-trick and rescued the game. And that is what that's all about. That is not about scoring a worldie once every 10 games. That is not about on your day being one of the best players. That is about that. That's what Ahmad did, perseverance. And as I said in the watch along, you can apply this to life, you can apply it to your day, you can apply it to football. You might wake up in the morning, everything's going wrong, everything at work's going wrong, and in the afternoon something goes right and the rest of your day is great. And that's what Ahmad's done there. He's just believed in himself and he's kept going. And I think, you can't have the rainbow without the rain. And I think that Ahmad performance is just so real today that it needs to be magnified, because it might actually help us get out of this shithole. That we can't just flick a button at Man United. We've been shit for too long. We need to acknowledge that Ahmad was shit. And then we need to acknowledge that he kept going and was fucking amazing. And that's how you get out of that hole. The fact that you can be having a bad day, but you can turn it around in that game. And I just thought that was just superb from Ahmad. And also, I want to shout out Christian Eriksen. Because Christian Eriksen is not our future. He's got to go. He is too slow. Since that Andy Carroll tackle, he is not. You play him in the midfield against Brighton, goodbye 3 points. He'll get run through. But the body might not be willing, but the mind is always giving. And you know what Christian Eriksen did? He won't get any credit. Only the real football analysis will know. The pass by Eriksen for the second goal changes the whole game. Takes it from being a draw to a win. Because the third goal is just Southampton being desperate, playing out from the back. It's the second goal that wins the game. What did Christian Eriksen do? All game, I'm watching Bruno, I'm watching Mainu, I'm watching Garnacho, I'm watching Mazraoui, even Ahmad. They're getting the ball and they're taking too many touches. They're whipping, they're looking at a cross, then they'll do it. 3 touches instead of 1. Too long. Eriksen gets the ball from Ahmad, just runs onto it, dinks it over the top. First time, Southampton are like, shit! You can't deal with the quick cross. You can't deal with the quick pass. As a defender, it's your worst bloody nightmare when players play it quick. And Eriksen just runs onto it, dinks it over, Ahmad's one-on-one. We don't do this enough. And I will shout Eriksen out for that, because it's such a rarity in this team to play the right ball at the right time. We take too long. It's too easy to defend against United. But when we start doing things quickly, that's when the chances happen. I also think Xerxes deserves a shout out as well. Physicality and the ability to hold the ball up was not there. Rasmus had an absolute stinker, and you've got to own it. You've got to own it. And you've got to own it in the sense that it's a worry. It is now becoming a worry. I think we've got a young player there that is nothing like he was, at times last season. And even last season, he was a development player. This year, it's not good. It's a real worry, and I don't know what happens there. But Xerxes came on and did the basics. He held the ball up. He made mistakes. He could have slipped somebody in, but carried on and had a shot. But he held the ball up. He was a physical presence, and he started bullying the Southampton defence when they were bullying Rasmus. So I think that helped as well. But look, we mustn't forget Anana's input in the first half, because that game could have easily been gone. So Jim Radcliffe, we're going to do the player ratings in a minute, and there's a few comments I need to read as well. Xerxes needs to start against Brighton, absolutely. So Jim Radcliffe was at the game. Really, I don't think any of you, and we've got 60,000 watching, which is incredible. Thanks, everyone. Smash a like on the video for Ahmad and Xerxes and Ericsson and everybody else. And please do subscribe. But I don't think any of us watching this live or anybody watching it later would watch that game and go, get some Bob Marley on. Everything is going to be all right. Everything is going to be all right. No woman, no cry. You know, we're not going to do that, because we've been watching this for 10 years. We've seen this Man United baffling inconsistency. And we know it's going to happen again. It might happen on Sunday. We might get beat 4-0 on Sunday. We might beat them 4-0 on Sunday. That's important as well. There'll be people saying Brighton are going to wipe their arse with us. They may well do. On the other hand, you can't dispute that we might wipe our arse on them and then lose to Rangers. You don't know which way it's going to go with this team. It's baffling. It's absolutely baffling. But Ruben Amorim is being asked to cook a steak dinner with a cardboard box. Like, you've got to give him the ingredients. And until he gets the ingredients, we're going to have more of these performances. Because these players are not capable, mentally and ability-wise, of playing the football he wants to play. Some of them will get better. Some of the younger players, the Amads of this world, will get better over time. Some of them will get older and need to be moved on. He needs players. And if Sir Jim Radcliffe is watching that game today and doesn't see that we're going to get our arse spanked a few more times this season, then I'm baffled why we're not doing anything in this January transfer window. You are literally playing with fire. We could have lost today. Easily could have lost today. And we're going to lose a lot more games. So I don't know why you sat on your wallet not doing anything, because we desperately need players. And it's not up for debate. Like, it's the only way. The Amads of this world and the Mainus of this world and the Yoros of this world are not going to be ready in the next 6 months. They're not going to be ready in the next 12 months. They're just going to develop gradually. They'll have bad games and good games. We're Manchester United. We can't wait 2 years. We need players now. And we can all moan about performance. We can all moan about luck. We can all moan about who needs to be sold, who needs to be bought. But I was watching that game today, especially at half-time, and I said it, so I wasn't keeping it to myself. I said it on the watch-along. I look at the team that Amorim's picked, and there's no player there for us to moan about anymore. Like, there's no Lindelof, there's no Luke Shaw, there's no Delot, there's no Casemiro, there's no Ericsson, there's no Rashford. This is a team that, all right, you could have started Xerxes up front, you could have put Binder in goal. There's one or two tweaks, but in general, the team was a team that we were pretty much happy with. My point is, we're not going to solve this anymore by going, get rid of this player, get rid of that player, get rid of this player. It wouldn't have made any difference if Casemiro and Rashford and Lindelof had played today. We might have been a little bit better, we might have been a little bit worse. The solution is not really going to be, get rid of this player, get rid of that player. We need Amorim's players. You've got to give him his players. If it's Gyökeres, it's got to be Gyökeres. If it's Ederson, it's Ederson. If it's Nuno Mendes, it's Nuno Mendes. But you've got to get him in. We can't keep talking about it. We've got to get him in. I look at Man City and Pep, and it's unbelievable, the run that they've been on since November. I mean, absolutely. I think they've took 12 points from 36. It's crazy. They've got an amazing squad. I don't know why it's happening. They've won multiple titles. They're an amazing team, and they're shit. What have they done in January? Their squad is unbelievable, and they've gone and bought 2 or 3 players. Man United's squad ain't that good, and we're not buying players. It's not rocket science. Pep's buying players to add to a brilliant squad. Man United have brought a new manager in, and are not giving him any players for a squad that's not good enough. This needs to be shouted from the rooftops. We've got to do something around that. Because if we don't, we're going to worry. We're going to worry. Right, I'm going to do player ratings. I just want to read some of your comments out. Xerxes made a difference, says Andre. Do you think fatigue made a difference today? No. No, that's not fatigue, mate. That's misplacing passes. That's shooting from distance. That's a lack of intensity. We played Liverpool and had a week off. We played Arsenal and had 4 days off. That's not for me. As you said, he's cooking a steak dinner and Amad is just the seasoning, says Mr. Sue. Garnacho and Rasmus were woeful. I'm not reading it. I disagree with you on Garnacho, to be honest with you. Amarim needs reinforcements. After that, they must get at least a couple now, says Anthony. Where would you pick Amad? I mean, look, Reece, Amad's arguably our player of the season. Where you play him, there's some ridiculous stat about Amad where he's not scored from the number 10 position and all his goals have come from the right-hand side. I think I'm right in saying that. I think all his goals have come when he's played right wing-back. But in the first half, he was getting roasted by that winger. But I think a lot of that was down to Yoro as well. I think you go where the goals are, don't you? I think you go where the goals are. He scores the goals from the right wing-back position, and he's good at implementing the press higher up the pitch. I like Amarim's system with wingers. I like Amarim off the right. I like him off the right. Long way to go, but promising signs from players who are the future of the club, says James Brown. Elite analysis, Mark. Ericsson's pass changed the game, says Akshay. Thank you very much. I try my best. Is there any hope left for the January transfer window, says Zenon? Well, it's just madness if we don't do anything. Xerxes starting to find his feet, says Ernesto. Xerxes needs to start on Sunday, says Alex. Shameless performance, but amazing turnaround, says Marlowe. Yoro is too young to judge, but even a young talent can't be that bad one-on-one. And Bruno, you know what? In relation to Yoro, we'll do the player rating. I'll give him a low score, but what I will say is, let's not burn our young players. We have to be consistent about this. I spoke about this 2 days ago. Now is the time to try to be that person that doesn't burn a young player. Like, they're going to have bad games. He made an amazing tackle at Arsenal. It's the definition of a young player to be inconsistent. So we got a dreadful performance today. We got an amazing tackle. It was Liverpool, wasn't it? Don't burn them. It's so crazy to me that people think that young players are going to play well every week. It's just not going to happen. He might not be consistent till 22, 23. Rio was fucking ridiculously inconsistent at West Ham and Leeds. Ridiculously. They were talking about Rio Ferdinand being one of England's best ever centre-backs at 18. He was ridiculously inconsistent at West Ham and Leeds. He was always making fucking mistakes. And then came to United and he was the finished article. And how old was Rio when he came to United? Well into his 20s, wasn't he? I can't remember exact age, but we've just got to be patient with these players. We can't burn them. Otherwise, we'll have nothing left. Confusing how many players are hopeless starting but look amazing off the bench, says David. Amad non-performance was on Amarim. Amad is the only player we have that can spark in the opponent's half, says Pelamo. Bruno didn't create much. And you rely too much on Amad, says Zayn. I have to defend Garnacho, Yoro, Mainu and the other young fellas. No leaders in the team, says Tibor. I don't think Garnacho was that bad. I just think some people want to cash in on him. I really don't think he was that bad. I mean, I wouldn't say he was good, but I didn't think he was that bad. Correct me if I'm wrong, but our last Premier League hat-trick was in 2022, says Jace. I think there's an even better stat than that. I think the amount of Premier League hat-tricks we've scored in the last 11 years is about 3. Because there was a massive gap between Van Persie and Ronaldo, I think. It's incredible. Can we remember to give Onana his praise, says Robert? 100%. I'm buying a jersey tomorrow, Mark, with Amad on the back, says Darren. Joshua lost his uncle to a heart attack on Tuesday. Sorry to hear that, Joshua. Still had a programme from 68 final. Amad would have put a smile on his face. Rest in peace to your uncle, Joshua. And love that tribute. Eric's voted Xerxes man of the match. Look, I think Xerxes did well. And I think he has to start against Brighton. But, you know, that's sentimental claptrap. you can't not give it to a guy who's just won us the game with a hat-trick. You can, but you're wrong. And I wouldn't normally say that. You're entitled to your opinion, but come on, he's just won the game with a hat-trick. We've had 3 Premier League hat-tricks in the last 11 years, and you wanted to give it to somebody who came on up front and held the ball up well. Come on. You know, I understand why you want to, but this should be a landslide for Ahmad. Right, let's do the player ratings. These are going to be very interesting. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. For me, Onana was a 7.5. So you're not far off. You've got good memories. You're not goldfish. Yeah, look, in that first half, he made 3 fantastic saves. Remember the double save that he did from dribbling and then the follow-up. And you know what? Somebody in the live chat, when they scored, said, "What's Onana doing? Spaghetti wrists." It was on slow-mo. It's reacting from 2 meters away, and he nearly bloody saved it. I thought Onana played really well. Maybe he played well because somebody's actually putting pressure on his shirt. I don't know. But I thought he played really well, Onana. And to be honest, I think if it had been 1-1, I'd have given him man of the match. Ahmad won us the game. Yoro, yeah, I mean, look, I'll give him a generous 5 because he's a young player and I don't want to burn them. But there wasn't much good about it. He did struggle, didn't he? Let's be honest. De Ligt, obviously, honestly, I really struggle with De Ligt. I really do. I mean, he made some big blocks. I don't think he played bad. I mean, he was brilliant against Arsenal, and he was brilliant against Liverpool. I don't think he played bad. I think players around him dragged his performance down because the organisation wasn't there. And when you're playing in a back 3, if you've got holes in your defence and midfield, you get pulled around all over the place. So I don't think De Ligt had a bad game. I would give him a 6.5. I just think if you're playing defence and players around you are out of position or playing bad, it can make you look bad. But I don't think he had a bad game. I'd give him a 6.5, 6.1 from you. Fair enough, then a lot of people do agree. Martinez, again, there wasn't a lot of problems down the left-hand side, to be fair. I'd probably give him a 5.5, I think. Yeah. It wasn't his best game, but I don't think he was the biggest problem for Manchester United tonight. Hold on. It always seems to do this when I'm doing my player ratings. Let me roll it down. Okay. Is Ahmad on the screen now? Turn it on and off. This will work. Works all day and then starts pissing about when I need it. I can't give him a 10. Can't give him anything. 9. Yeah. I got a message saying surely it's going to be a perfect 10 from Ahmad. But if I give him a perfect 10, I'm completely and utterly ignoring the fact that I actually was going to say he's had his worst game in a Man United shirt at 1-0 to Southampton. But I love the perseverance. I love the lesson of this is what it means to wear a Manchester United shirt. You never give up. And even in the 80th minute, you can go and score a hat-trick and change the game. And this guy just deserves so much credit because we need to learn that mentality so much. You never give up in a Man United shirt. And that embodies what Man United's all about. So, yeah, fantastic. We're really struggling here. I don't know why it's doing this, but at the wrong possible time, my mouse is now deciding to fuck about completely. This is going to be a long process if it keeps doing this. Oh, my God. What a time to do it. I need to try and whiz through. Agate, really weird substitution. Don't understand it. I would give him a 6.5 like De Ligt. I thought he played really well. Again, I would echo the De Ligt score because if you put a good player in a chaotic system where there's holes all over the place, you're going to look a little bit worse. And God, it was chaotic in that midfield around him. So I would give him a 6.5. There was a lot of good tackles. There was a lot of good passes in the first half. But what was going on around him was pure chaos. So maybe he was tired. I don't know. It doesn't really make any sense to me. Look, Mainu was poor. It was a bad game. The intensity was slow. He was taking too long on the ball. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. He wasn't quick enough and he was taking too long on the ball. And in the midfield, there are two components for a bad performance. And that's all it was. Mainu is going to be a big player for us for the future. He's another young player that we need to look after. But too slow on the ball, not quick enough in the tackle. And that's why he got took off at half time. It was a tactical thing and he was a weak link. Simple as that. Mazraoui for me was a 5 today. And I agree. Very high standards, very consistent player. Passing was dreadful. I don't think it was because he was on the left-hand side, because he has played well there. But can I just say it for the millionth time? What is it about Man United Football Club that thinks they can play in the most competitive league in the world and be the only team for 18 months not to have a fucking left-back? You cannot keep playing games without a left-back. It is a weakness. We are imbalanced. We are picking people in that position that aren't specialists. And then we're wondering why Dalot and Mazraoui and everybody else keep having bad games in that position. It is, even if you went and got a bang average left back, we would be in a better position. It is so dim. It is absolutely stupid. And I don't know why we keep doing it. Bruno was a 5 for me today. Endeavour and effort and heart and passion and stamina, bang on, 100%. But it was a bad performance. Too long on the ball. Erratic in desperate times. Look, we would have been worse without Bruno, but he had a bad game. Garnacho, I'd go 5.5. I thought that he should have scored that goal. But he put a brilliant cross in for Anthony. And if he gets that goal, if Anthony scores that goal, then that's 3 assists in 3. And we're probably giving him a 6.5. I don't think it was as bad as some people think. I get that some people want to cash in on him. That's up to you. If we cash in on him for less than we paid for Mason Mount, we're fucking dead. We're idiots. There is a value on a player like that, and it certainly isn't less than £55 million. Look, Rasmus, 4. Yeah, it was really sad to watch. Obviously, I'm going to defend young players. I'm certainly going to defend Rasmus. I think that there's a very interesting video to be done around this at some point. But one thing I will never do, I am not Player FC and I am not Agenda either. I will always shoot from the hip, my bad hip. Rashford and Martial were 2 of my favourite players. You know where that ended up. So there is a previous here. Bruno, one of my favourite players. I consistently give him bad scores. The most important thing to me is Manchester United. You can play your Player FC games. You can play your Agenda games. Plenty of people do. I will lead from the front on this. There is a standard. And the most important thing is Manchester United. That performance today was not good. It looked like a player lacking confidence. It looked like a player out of his depth. I don't think he is, but there's something not right there. And a time on the bench to reassess is certainly going to be incoming and should be incoming. What I would say is, if Garnacho scores that cutback, it was the one bit of play that he did well. I'd like to see more of that, but overall it was a bad performance. Maguire, 6. Collier, 6.5. I thought he did well. Good, bright future. Ericsson for the pass alone, 7. I just thought it was incredible. Anthony, 5. I mean, all I'm going to say is, again, I think with Anthony, you can never... And the same with Rasmus, and the same with Bruno, and the same with Anthony. You can't argue with their effort. They do try. But Anthony, his whole life in a Man United shirt, irritatingly, does everything with his left foot. He has an open goal and decides to try and score with his right. What the fuck? What was that all about? Every time, it's always left-footed and he does it with his right. I don't know what that was all about. Xerxes, a 7 for me. I'm surprised you've gone so low. You've all this bloody, Xerxes, and you've gone with a 6.5. Look, maybe it's a little bit generous, but I do believe that we have to be that. We spoke about this at the start of the week. We've got to play our part. You've got to protect Yoro tonight because he had a stinker and he's a young player. With Xerxes, a couple of weeks ago, he was getting a load of shit. He's bounced back. Let's give him a bit of praise. I think that's how we have to operate. And if he gets a little bit of a higher score than he deserves, who gives a shit? He came on, he held the ball up well. That should be encouraged, because if we don't encourage players when they play well, what are we? We're very vocal at shouting and screaming about how bad they are. And, you know, if Rasmus came off the bench on Sunday and scored 2 worldies, I would hope that people would do the same. Eriksson needs to be sold, but he came on and did something that no one else will do. He played a quick pass. Xerxes came on and he held the ball up. We should be encouraging it and we should be shouting about it, because then we're not guilty. As a fan base, we're not guilty of the problems at Man United. The players are, and more importantly, the owners are. But we're doing our job. And all I would say is, don't burn the young players. The Yoros, leave them alone. Leave them alone. We've got to have patience. There is a lack of leaders in that team. And there's a lack of quality in that team as well. Look, Amorim tonight, I don't know. I don't know where to start. I mean, is he immune still? I would like to say he is. Was it a good performance? A goalkeeper, a good goalkeeper, an average goalkeeper, and you're 3-0 down at half-time and you're not coming back? I would say I'm just going to sit on the fence and give him a 6, because I think there are compelling reasons to say good and bad things, but ultimately I'll leave it there as a 6 for Amorim, because I don't want to get into it. Look, I'm a big fan of Amorim, and as you know, and I didn't do it with Ten Hag. I'm not going to do it with Amorim. I'm not going to go down that road. But I think that's why that result is so important as well. There are positives and negatives, but the positive is, you know, it doesn't give the headlines to the sensationalists tomorrow to start writing a load of shit. It's a quick turnaround till Sunday as well. I mean, it literally is a quick turnaround, and Brighton have won again. So, but look, I don't actually think there's a lot to be said about Amorim anyway. The big conversation is about why is it Amorim at the start of the week, Bruno at the start of the week, Maguire at the start of the week, you at the start of the week. You're all talking about we can't be complacent. We always do this. We get results at tough places and then at home we're shit. Everybody knows we can't do it, and then we go and do it. How do we solve that? How do we solve that? And I genuinely think the only way to solve this is time, which we don't have, and the time is with the likes of Yoros and Mainus and the young players, and to gradually get them to the level you want, which we don't really have time to do. I think you need to bring players in. I think you need more Agates. I think you need more De Lits. And the funny thing is, he didn't buy them. I think we've got a collection of young players that will get better over time. I think we've got 3 or 4 players that will get better over time that have the right levels. Agates, De Lits, Mazraouis. I think we need a few more. I think we need 3 or 4 signings desperately, and they need to work. But Amorim can't do anything about that. The players can't do anything about that, and you can't do anything about that. So if we're searching for solutions, we're looking at the same place we've always been. You can't talk about FFP. You can't talk about debt. This is a new manager with a new system. Man United have played a back 4 for the last 50 years. For 2 months, we've been playing with a back 3, and we don't have the players to do it. So you better fucking get the players in. I think that's the solution, isn't it? Simple as that. Okay, well, look, let's not dwell too long, because they're live on the fan forum, and I think there's a lot to be said as well. Some of them were at the game. You've been absolute legends tonight. It's been a struggle, but look, I always say this, enjoy the win, because it could have been a lot worse. I saw someone in the chat say, we don't deserve this. We deserve to lose. And I'm like, that's just self-inflicted pain you don't want. We're still Manchester United. That's the most important thing. And trust me, how you would have felt if we'd lost, you've got no idea the amount of embarrassment and banter you were going to get. We've avoided it. We've won the game. We've got a guy with a hat-trick. We don't see many of them. We're playing again on Sunday. There's nowhere to hide. There's a lot of work to do, but United won tonight. Thanks everyone for watching. Absolute legends in the chat. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Let's go over to the fan forum. Oh, man of the match. Shit, sorry, before I do that. 89%. Smash a like. 89%. That's one of the highest scores we've ever had. He's nearly at 90. Well done. I keep forgetting to do man of the match. Thank God I read the chat. Legends, I'll speak to you in a bit. Let's raid the chat with really something out there. Ahmad, man of the match. No. Brilliant. Thanks everyone for watching. I've just been sent something here. What have I been sent? Anything any good? Amorim on players suited to his system. They are not suited to playing like that with the ball. You saw we had some patterns. He needs to, look, he's got to speak honestly. There's no point beating about the bush. He needs to speak honestly. He hasn't got the players he needs. Let's go over to the forum. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care.